Riverside TV, my station, my choice.
Hello viewers, welcome to Riverside Council with me Caroline Bide, and with me today is Gloria Mugallo. So Gloria, just introduce yourself.
Yeah, this Minister Gloria Mugallo. I run a program called The Move, which has perhaps Singles for Purity. We deal with purity issues, especially with the youth of today. We got a prayer watch, prayer movement, and then the worship summary.
Yeah, we're going to talk about sexuality, and I've watched most of your videos, and you're doing about sexuality, and you're basing on girl child. Just tell us why girl child.
Yeah, mostly it's the girl child because the girls mostly fall victims, like they become the victims, of they're the ones who bear the cost, the heavier cost, the pregnancy. They stop their academics. A guy can still go around and move on with life as if nothing happened. But the stigma, the shame, and everything is the girl who faces it. Although purity, it's everybody's issue. It's a girl's issue, it's a man's issue, but mostly the girls suffer most for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
and why sexuality? Because the girls are also facing other challenges. Why sexuality?
Yeah, I think sexuality, because there are many challenges, but I think mostly it's as if they kind of find a hiding in sexuality.
Yeah.
But you see, if you are struggling with lack, with poverty and all that, it's something that can be handled. If you can get help and pull out of it. If it's sickness, if it's lack of this and that, it's something that can be handled. But mostly all these things, they drive them into sexuality to the point like it becomes more of a, if I need to sort you out, if you need pads, sleep with me. If you need school fees, if you need pocket money, you need some shopping, you need good life, sex, So I think that's why it's like, to solve your problem, give me your vagina. Sorry, I get raw.
Okay, there's a video you did about you feel like the girls are being used as sex tools. Why do you feel like they are being used as sex tools?
Yeah, because if everything around a woman is centralized on what is between her legs, her thighs, it's just like I said initially, you want this, me to do you this, you want promotion at work, you want good grades in school, you want a pass, you want ABCD, the only costs, the only thing I want from you is sex. Nothing else. You're beautiful years, I don't need you. You have a career years, you have the gift years, but for me even to take you to the media, sex, and it looks like it's a simple thing, it's a one-time thing, just do it and life will be sorted, your life will be easier. So that's why it becomes like a girl child. The women have been reduced into like a sex tool. You just become a tool of sex in the hands of men. And let me also just clarify this. It's not like we are also even just fully like putting the blame on men and making women look like victims. It's a high time also we understand really, like when you're doing this, you've got to have this understanding that I'm being turned into this kind of a tool, a sex tool. Do I want to be turned like that? You've got the power, you've got the opportunity, you've got the energy, you've got what it takes to say no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's the thing of misinformation. Why do you think these girls, not even girls, where do you think we all lose track?
We've all lost track in a place of, knowledge. Knowledge is key to everything, and knowledge is not really what you get in school. Knowledge comes from the word know. What do you know? And most of us start knowing things from tender ages. Even like a newborn baby, who teaches a child that this is where the breast of your mom is, But somehow there are things they just know naturally, and they grow into that knowledge. And also as kids start growing up, they're exposed to some few things, they watch, and knowledge comes from what you see, what you hear, what you experience. Every day you're gaining knowledge. it could be good, it could be bad. And what I always say about knowledge, like, is like information. What information basically? You are either like transformed or deformed by the information that you absorb in. So in most cases, as kids, you're growing up, you're seeing, okay, maybe we are now this in the time of social media, internet, YouTube, and all that. We are all kids exposed to all these things. And you're seeing people kissing, people cuddling, touching one another, going naked, maybe house help in the home. They're playing some things on the television. There's no control to it. They're doing whatever they're doing. In the neighborhood, you're hearing maybe people exchanging verbal abuses and, all this information. So they start informing the kid from a tender age. And then also, even the people we come along with, like I say, parents, you have a very, very big responsibility when raising up a child, because the first information they get from you is what really forms their lives. They will gauge every other thing they hear from the first information they received. So if you teach a child, if you inform your child, the way we teach them, head is here, shoulder, knees and toes, eye, ears, mouth. Why is it that when we come to this part, you tell them this is insect, do. Then they get an auntie or an uncle, a relative who will come in your absence, and you're so trusting. So you leave them there, and the baby is saying, head, shoulder, knees and toes and all that. And maybe they're just conversing. And we have some people who are just very naughty and weird. And they'll ask the baby, and this thing is called what? And they say, no, this is doo-doo. Mom told me, what do you know about doo-doo? To hide it. So they only know, that's all they know about their doo-doo, is a doo-doo. And then what do you do with your doo-doo? You hide it from strangers. And the stranger says, or the auntie or the uncle, the relative, even the brother, sister, right now it's just weird what's happening even in our homes. And they tell the child, no, that's not doo-doo. Doo-doo is this insect that crawls, this mosquito is what is called doo-doo. Is that thing doo-doo? And the child is like, actually, no, actually we call this thing doo-doo. How can I be calling a part of my body also doo-doo? And they tell them what it is. It is a vagina, it is a penis, and this is what it is for. Besides, we win with it, urinating with it, you have fun with it, you do this with it. And sometimes they go to the point of introducing them, touching them, cuddling them. And of course the kids are feeling nice, giggling, and they will grow up knowing this is what you do with this. And now already they have disqualified you as a parent, and they have branded you as a liar. They'll never trust you again. And they now tend to trust this other intruder more than they even trust you, because really every child will know it's true, this is not to do. So information is very, very important. And I won't say it's at from 11 or 15 or 19 or 3 or what. Just right as the child, they are growing, they are observing things, they're seeing things, they're hearing things, and they're taking notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with the rise of coronavirus, in our country now, there's also the issue of early pregnancies. It's also rising. Who do you think is not doing it right? Is it the girls? Is it the parents? Is it the government? Who do we just feel? We don't blame anyone, but who do you feel is not doing right?
I think all of us got to take responsibility for this. We won't really say it's the girl or it's the man or it's the boy. We've all played a part into this, because right from home, if this girl was empowered to know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, or rather, even if you're not born again, I always say, purity, loving yourself and taking care of yourself doesn't have nothing to do with salvation or not salvation. I've seen people who are not born again, but they really value themselves. They don't sleep around, they don't drink, they don't smoke, they respect their body, they respect themselves. And so when you have taught your child as they're growing up, the boys, that when you meet girls, you are a man, all the girl is looking up to you for. Number one thing the girl looks up to you for is protection, defense. You empower the man, the boy child, knowing that, okay, I am a defender, I am a protector, I am the safety for any girl. be it my sister, be it my child, my cousin, and all. So the boys will grow knowing that this is our role in life. The girl grows up knowing, in as much as all I've grown knowing is being taught to do play with toys, mommy, daddy, and all that, because we teach our children to be mummies. Children are mummies already, girls especially, they are mummies at tender ages. It's not bad to get them those toys and play with, but what are you training them? The things they're picking is to be a mother. And that's why you find naturally women become motherly, because they've been geared towards that. They are tender, they are nurturing, they are caring, they clean, But boys, it's like they build like trappers and all. They are, engineers and all that. So the virtue within the home is not really imparted in a boy child of like you're told, because they can also have their own toys that makes them responsible, that this is how you make provision for your family, this is how you open a door for your mother or for your sister, or all that kind of a thing. So I think we are all to blame here right from the grassroots, but the bigger responsibility actually lies with the parent, because no child is responsible for their own becoming in this world. We are responsible. When I give birth to a child, I'm responsible for that child. So whatever that girl or that boy grows to become, I have played a bigger role. I'm the first teacher, I'm the first pastor, I'm the first trainer, I'm the first tutor, like the first everything, the first God that child knows. So what, as a parent, you check yourself and you find, where did I go wrong? Have I empowered my child enough? And then we leave them with these gadgets, and you don't care what your child is watching, who your child is with. Rarely will you find parents who know their children's friends. You ask them, okay, where's so and so? It's like, he's playing with who? They even don't know. When the child comes home, you don't take time to ask them, okay, who did you play with? What were you talking about? It's just to have a conversation. Not necessarily like who touched you, what did you, it's just developing, building a rapport with your child and getting to, and that kid will be, as they're growing up, when you start that from the grassroots, as they're growing, they're like, okay, yeah, so and so touched me here, and you're like, oh, your breast, why? From the conversation, you will know whether it was a deliberate touch or it was accidental or something, and you will know how to guide in all this. So I think we all need to take a part of responsibility in this. Especially as parents and then children, just let the boy know the first thing in your life as a guy is not to be a sex machine. You're not trained. It's not how many women you bed that qualifies you to be a lion or a king or a man. It's how you can protect, how you can defend, how you can guard, safeguard a lady, a girl, even your mother. A girl needs to know this is how you keep yourself, you conduct yourself, discipline yourself, and carry yourself. So even if the government fails us by introducing maybe some laws and regulations and whatever that is not in line with what you have instilled in your child, the child is strong enough, firm enough to say, no, it could be the law in the land, but it doesn't apply to me. But you see, if we can say maybe the government is trying to do this and do this and do that, but from home they are already weakened, they will just fall prey to the system, the government, the peer pressure, the influence in school and everywhere, media and all that. So I think basically it's right from home.
You've talked of peer pressure. How can one handle this peer pressure?
Yeah, it all comes from the information too, just the empowerment thing. You empower a child. The thing is, you've read the story of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These are stories in the Bible. Even from childhood we are taught this. And these guys were in a Babylonian system. They were in Babylon. Babylon was a nation that didn't have recognition for God. They worshipped idols. Their laws were just demonic. But these guys, being raised as Jews, raised knowing God, empowered in the word of God, when they were taken to Babylon and trained in the system of Babylon, they were actually trained. Like, drop your Jewish traditions, your Jewish training and coaching and your God and all that. come into this system and they were being trained. They were given ranks and position in Babylon. But how did they survive? The root. You know, the Bible talks about teaching a child on the ways to grow. And when they are grown up, like teach a child when they're still young, when they are grown up, they won't even divert from that path. So what kept these guys in that demonic system was the values they collected as a foundation. Once the foundation is correct, is firm, is strong, there is no wind of peer pressure that will be able to sway you. Because peer pressure will be there, but the thing is, what is in you is so strong. The light in you is so strong. And, you know, the peer, let's take a scenario of just a small candle with such a big room. You don't need a candle the size of my hand to light up this place. A small spark of light is able to drive out. So I don't believe in saying maybe if I'm right and I work with it plays a role, yeah, of course, because bad company ruins good morals. But the thing is, I'm talking about the foundation. If my foundation is firm enough, you could be 5 of you are smoking. I will not smoke. Instead, I'm the one to convert you. So it goes back to the grassroots, it goes back to the foundation, it goes back to the what was imputed in a child when young. So, but assuming now the foundation wasn't that strong, of course, and now here the pressure is too much. My simple counsel on peer pressure is this: never struggle to fit in. In fact, never even thrive. Don't make it your goal to fit in. Always stand out. Because when you fit in, you become a commoner, you know, available for any, you are very common. Nobody will look for you. You are easily, like, you're too available. You are too cheap. But when you stand out, you are like gold. You'll be sought out for. Anybody who wants you will look for you like they're looking for treasure. So when you just have this as a principle in your mind, I don't want to fit in. I need to stand out so that I can make a difference. Peer pressure will not have its hold on you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you think drives these teenagers to sexuality? Because to some extent, some of them are not even willing to go there, but there's that thing that drives them.
Yeah, it's mostly misinformation and the trying to fit in thing. You know, you feel everybody's doing it. Am I that special? If so and so sings so well in church and she's sleeping around, even if pastor lays hands on people and he was seducing me, if my teacher looks like happily married and is sleeping around, you know, my neighbor or my dad, he's sleeping even with the house girl, my mother, I saw him, you know, her with so and so, and you know, all these kind of things. Yeah. So it looks actually looks like very normal right now, whether not really necessarily marriage. Now it's being done on open screen, you know, pornography and all that. It's available, so it looks very normal. That's a deception. Now our kids, our teenagers, or the youth, or generally people feel it's normal, and because I'm normal, let me do it. Everybody's doing it. Mm-hmm. So it's a deception. Number one, that I would say is one of the drives that keeps people going into sexuality. Number two, it's the temporary comfort it brings. You know, the pleasure it brings. Everybody wants something that is good, you know, but people fail to look at the long-term consequences, and they're only looking at the momentary pleasure. So, okay, I'm frustrated with so and so, you know, it's just a door away, you know, let me go and relieve my tension and all that. So sex is being actually, people are using sex now. I would say, now people are using sex to resolve their issues, to maybe calm themselves down, and for all this. And so especially now for the teenagers, I would say, is the fitting in and the misinformation that has come with sexuality. That is really the major drive that is driving them. And then, of course, for many girls, I would say it's poverty. Poverty, you know, God casts poverty, really, because you feel maybe you don't have this and this is available, and it's at a cost, of course, and you tell yourself anyway, what is in it? It's a 5 minute thing, let me just, but you find as time goes by, that is how you will always, make ends meet. Before you know it, you're on the streets, sleeping around to get food to put on your table and all that. So poverty is also a very, very large contributing factor. And now the people who have it now are using their positions, their influences, their money to use the less disadvantaged, buying them sexually. Yeah.
We're going for a short break, but when we'll be back, we'll be trying to relate Christianity and sexuality, and we'll also talk about the effects of sexuality.
Hamjamboni, kwa majina naitwa Priscilla Mwikali Makau. Mimi ni daktari katika hospitali yetu kuu ya Mathare inayoshughulikia mambo na changamoto za akili. Wakati kama huu unaweza kupitia mambo mengi, wafikiria sana, mafikirio yako yako mengi, yanasongamana, magombana na watu. Tuomba uweze kutumia nambari 1199 ili uweze kupatana na mhudumu wa afya kwa upande mwingine. Pamoja tukomeshe corona.
Whereas God may have instructed us to do some things, hear this today, the transport must remain correct. Whatever we begin, whether of God or not of God, it will begin somehow. But hear this, beloved of God, only what Jehovah has authorized will stand the test of time. And me and you as a believer must be careful, because the seductive powers of the devil will always try to come to us to take an advantage of what God is doing to answer our problem.
back. We're still on with the discussion. It's about sexuality. Now we're moving on to trying to relate Christianity and sexuality. So Gloria, just tell me how one can try to handle this sexuality and Christianity. Here's a girl, she's a Christian, but she's still fighting this sexuality. How one can deal with that?
One of the things I'd like us to understand is, okay, life is all about warfare. And it's not just about sexuality. The war is not just about sexuality.
Yeah.
But the same way you can resist the urge to steal or abuse an elderly person when they maybe provoke you. Just with that, the same grace that you have to say no to stealing and robbing a bank, taking something that is not of your own, and or killing somebody when you're angry with a person, that same grace is there, available, and can still work for you, for me, even when it comes to sexual drive and sexual temptation. You know, one of the things I would say for a child of God, as a Christian, we have a better understanding, we're in a better covenant, we stand a higher, better place to be able to resist all this than even somebody who is not born again. Imagine Joseph, who was didn't have Christ. That was Old Testament. He didn't have Jesus in him. He just had the fear of God in him. But with all the troubles he'd gone through, and now here he is, the master's wife is admiring him. What an honor, what a privilege. But he said, no, I'd rather. And the Bible talks about fleeing sexual immorality. It talks about actually like flee. This is not something, the problem is we stand to reason out. We stand to preach it out, to think it out. That's not how you fight sexuality. With sexuality, the simple answer is run. Just flee. You are in a room, you're in a place, you're watching something, because it's not sex, you know, unfortunately, or I don't know, but sex is not always about you with an opposite sex. People are doing sex in their minds, on their phones or screens and all that. So the thing is, resist the urge just by tune off, switch off, flee. And we have the word of God in us. Jesus dwells in us. Simple, it can be as simple as this. If Jesus dwells in me, Jesus is here. As like Jesus is seated here with me and you, the way we are seated. Can I even undress before you? I can't. If I want to do something, I'll hide, I'll go somewhere, I can't. So in the same way is, can Jesus watch, can I watch this thing I'm watching with Jesus next to me? No. Can I read this thing with Jesus? No. Can I think these thoughts knowing that Jesus knows what I'm thinking? If I can't do it in his presence, because I think the misconception or what we are, we never understand the context of we being in Christ and Christ being in us. But if we really understand like it is as he's so real and closer than the skin on your flesh, meaning he's seeing you. But we assume that he's up there, he's too far, nobody is seeing. So you can hide from your parents, you can hide from friends, you can hide from pastor, and in your mind, it never crosses that there is this one you can't hide from. But when you have that consciousness that he's here with me, you won't do it. No matter the urge, no matter the drive, you won't do it. You will switch off. And with sex, the truth is this. It's very simple. The moment you switch it off here, it's off here. It's just here. Once it's off here, it will be off here. But the problem is we entertain it here so much. So I'm still trying to put on my clothes. I'm still trying not to uncover. But in my mind, I'm already fantasizing. How will it feel when he touches me, when she touches me, when we touch kissing and all that. So even if I'm saying no, but already in my mind, I've traveled. I've gone. The man has already erected. He's already having sex with you. You're clothed. You're talking. You think you're having a conversation, but the brother is already taking you to bed. So once we switch it off here, it's easier to switch it off in the body.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's this, let's talk, for example, there's this girl who is a Christian. She had been there before, but now she's born again. When she was into sexuality, she was not born again, but she came, she was born again now, but she's still trying to fight
The urge.
yeah, because let's talk of addiction. She was addicted to that. She's trying to fight this because of the teachings she's getting in church, but bado inakataa. How can she do? What can she do?
Yeah, the Bible talks in Romans 12:1, it says, yield your bodies. Maybe I can just read that for us. Yield your bodies as a temple, unto God. Give him your body. Let your mind be renewed. Let me read from verse 1 in the Message translation. He says, so here is what I want you to do. God helping you. It's not in your strength. One of the things you need to understand, even as I'm talking like this, I'm not trying to minimize or demean the fight against sexuality. But the thing is, it's not my battle. It is his battle. So once I've yielded to him, God helping me, once I understand, Lord, this is not my fight. If I fight it myself, I lose it. So I give it to you. Once you understand he's the one fighting it through you, it will be easier. So here's what I want you to do. God helping you. Take your everyday, Monday to Monday, not just Sunday. Ordinary life. Your ordinary life. You're sleeping, you're eating, you're going to work, you're walking around life, and place it before God as an offering. What does it think? My ordinary life includes my feelings, my emotions, my desires. I lay them before God. Just like I take an offering from my pocket and I lay it before God. One of the prayers I do is this, seriously. I tell God, I give you my heart, I give you my mind, I give you my thoughts, I give you my vagina, I give you my sexuality, my desires, everything. The problem is we've given God our hearts. We've not given God our thoughts. We've not given God our sexual organs. We've not given God our feelings. We think these are ours. To man, that I have control. I don't have control over my sexuality. He has it. So the moment you surrender it to him, it will be very, very easy. Just number one, no, it's not your fight. It is his fight. And once you hand it over to him, don't take it back. When the urge comes, cry to God for help. I promise you, going for deliverance, no. Deliverance is good. I'm not trying to talk that ministry out. Like it's deliverance comes from Mount Zion. It's their Savior shall arise. It's important. Deliverance is a ministry. It's important for a child of God. But in most cases, you find some of those people even laying hands on you and trying to bind that spirit out of you and all that. Behind the door, they're still the one signaling you. So one of the things I said with sexuality, it's a deliverance that God can carry you through, you and God. He did it for me. You and God. I wasn't addicted to sexuality and all that. It feels safe to masturbate than sleep around with men. And for a child of God, mostly you feel, okay, I'm not hurting anybody, as whatever, as not sleeping around, I'm satisfying myself, I'm in love with me, you know. But the thing is, when you cry to God, God, help me. It's a powerful prayer. He will help you. It is his battle. Number two, you have been lied to that it's an addiction and it's a demon that needs to be, this is the procedure and the process and all that. You are not your addiction. Try to separate your life from your addiction. You have been told you're addicted, but yourself, when you look at it, you know you're not an addict, really. There are triggers you need to watch in your life. Because you can't say you're in a service, you're trying, and then you start feeling having sex with somebody. No. Mostly you will find it's what kind of people are around you. What are the triggers? Watch out for the triggers. The company you keep. What do you talk about? The things you watch, the things you read, the things you listen. What do you entertain? And cut off the triggers. There is a part for God to play. There's a part for you to play. And the part that I need to play is if I was watching maybe movies or some things with a lot of sexual whatever, and whatever triggers me, it's my responsibility to stop watching, to stop reading, to cut off the friendship of people who need to. So in as much as I'm saying it's all God's battle, my part to play too needs to really come in play. So for a sister or a brother who is in church right now and trying really to get out of this, watch out for the triggers and just cut them off. Yeah, I think those are two simple things maybe I could mention on that.
And what are the effects of sexuality? You know, most of the people think that pregnancy, STIs, and the magonjwa that comes with sex. That's
It's
the
all-
only, those are the only effects. What are the effects of sexuality?
1 Corinthians 6 verse 16 in Message translation tells us something about sex. It says, there is more to sex than mere skin to skin. When it comes to sex, it's not just about my lips and his lips. It's not just about my vagina and his penis. There's more to it. Sex is as much spiritual mystery as physical fact. You know, physically when you have sex, there's pleasure, there is a pregnancy, or there is an exchange of the fluids and all that. You know, there's a lot that comes physically. In the same way, there's a lot of exchange also in the spirit. That's what the Bible talks about. It's much spiritual mystery as a physical fact. And what's a mystery? A mystery is something that is beyond the natural, beyond our human understanding. It's a secret, that things that need to be uncovered, revealed, discovered. And it continues to say, as it's written in the scripture, the two become one. You can imagine, Grace and Felix become one. Grace and Andrew becomes one. Grace and Michael becomes one. You know, or James and Gladys become one. James and Jerry becomes one. You become one with the 100 people, with the 10 people, with the 3 people you are sleeping around with. You can't handle yourself as you, as an individual. How much more when I have these 10 people inside of me? So you become one with them. Since what we want to become spiritually, now we are talking about sex and Christianity, our goal is to become one with the Master. So we must not pursue the kind of sex that is void of commitment and intimacy. I won't read through, but you can read 1 Corinthians 6, the whole of it. Paul wrote a lot on sexuality. So there is more to sex that meets the eye. And the effects of sex, especially outside of marriage, is more devastating in the spirit realm than in the physical realm. Because now you find it's not just you, you're affecting your next spouse, your children that are to come, you're affecting your partner, his or her spouse, his children to come, and the generations after them. And that's why you hear this thing about the generational sin and generational curses and all this. You find, okay, the grandfather was a polygamist, he loved women and all that. So the father also is, so the son also is. So you find this as something, when you're handling sex matters, don't just think about that pleasurable, momentary pleasure. It covers generations. Now, if I'm having sex with a person in whose family maybe they are robbers or they are consulted witchcraft and all those kind of things, I'm becoming one. It's a covenant I'm entering into. And now remember, this covenant is not just between me and this person, but it's between me and him, and the persons attached to him, and the persons who are attached to me. So that alone should give you think twice when you want to indulge in sex outside a marriage. Then, you know, even naturally now, when you get to time you want to get married or you're married, you stand out, this is how it used to feel with John, and now I'm with Andrew. So I'm sleeping with Andrew, but I'm thinking of John. As a guy, you've been with Mary and Fionn and all that. Now you're with Rachel. You can't be satisfied with Rachel. You're still having those. And that's why even marriages right now, you know, why do you think there's a lot of divorces and fights and battles in marriages and all that? When you trace it so well, it goes back to these sexual ties in the past. Because you're not touching me like Andrew touched me. You're not as whatever as Grace was, you know, you're not this, you're not that. Comparison starts coming in and all that. So just know, as a child of God anyway, it's just important to keep to your purity, and so that in a holy matrimony, actually the Bible calls it a holy matrimony. Sex is a holy thing. It was created by God, not Hollywood, not Nollywood, not the devil. It was created by God. So let's just keep it sacred. The person talking to you hasn't been all perfect, so feel free to reach out to me on 0721 862 408 0721 862 408, and you can also link up with me on my YouTube channel, Gloria Wonderful Mogalo. Glory has an H. There's a lot of material I've written, I've posted on YouTube. They can actually help you. I have a book also. It's an ebook and also a hard copy. Whichever you may need, you can place an order on purity, singles for purity. Please get the right information. You are chosen of God and you can thrive in this life.
Okay. Anywhere else they can find you? Maybe Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Gloria Mugallo. On Facebook is Gloria Mugallo. Instagram, the same, Gloria Mugallo Wonderful. I'm on Twitter, you can find me there.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And for the discussion. For more on this, you can follow us in our social platforms. That is Riverside TV Kenya, Instagram and Facebook. And you can also subscribe in our YouTube channel, Riverside TV Kenya. Till next time.
Riverside TV, my station, my choice.